Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 725 of Geeks in Space. I'm Rob Commander Taco Malda, and I am, of course, joined by Chris DeBona.
Hip hip cheerio.
And Rob Roseboom. All right, gentlemen, talk amongst yourselves for a second, because for some reason the video is not popping up. So I gotta find
because you were messing around with that trailer.
Yeah.
No, it's actually because we are on calling earlier. When we call on a different time, the Google Meet shows up with a different title bar, and the way that OBS detects Windows is by the text of the title.
Huh.
All right.
Okay.
But we're fixed now. So thank you to the live stream for
I feel
your
very fit.
patience.
I don't know about Robert.
Oh, good. You feel fit.
I feel okay. I feel all right, I guess.
All right. On a weird note, I think I get to schedule a colonoscopy because I'm old now.
Ooh.
I know. So I don't
Have
know if
fun.
I'll feel good after that.
It'll be one of two things. It'll either be fine or they won't use enough. Well, that's not there.
There you go. So the Prey trailer dropped. Is that a movie or is that coming out on like Hulu or something?
No, it's a series.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, the thing is, I actually think I'd prefer it as a movie because as much as I enjoy the First Peoples and their adventures, I think I might get a little old after a while. But
I guess I would be a little concerned. I mean, and maybe this is just to not jump too far ahead, but the Kenobi episode this week did nothing really to advance the plot. It was
it's weird that they would have it in a modern day Target. I thought that was kind of a strange creative choice.
No, it's edgy. It's the multiverse of Star Wars now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But
It's like a hot topic.
Yeah.
More than a target, really.
Yep. They go. What was the story? The store that bought ThinkGeek.
GameStop.
Yeah, they can have a big
I think
fight.
you're more thinking like a sharper image.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or
yeah, that checks out.
Brookstone that bought Sharper Images brand and now sells crap under that. And then they went out of business, but they're still in business in airports. So who knows?
I think of us, Rob, you're the biggest Predator person. What do you think?
Yeah. What do you think?
It looks interesting.
I mean, it looks like it's good. I just don't know if they can make it work for 8.5 hours.
And it's kind of cliched now, but really it was one of the first, for sure, the first in mainstream sort of the idea of intergalactic hunters, right? And the comic book gets into sort of their culture and why they hunt things and that sort of stuff. So that's kind of interesting, and it looks like this follows those mythos and could be an interesting story to tell. But we shall see.
Right. I mean, honestly, I'll be happy
And maybe it's true.
just to see a different setting. You know what I mean? Like setting this in this era with this level of imbalance between technologies, like that's.
Yeah, I was going to say the one thing that does concern me a little bit is, the original has an elite, covert ops team armed to the gills, and it destroys all of them. And here they're fighting Native Americans with spears and bows. So,
but
there's some soldiers from America.
But doesn't the first Predator?
Yeah.
The first Predator is in a lot of ways like they get their technology and their toys stripped away from them, and they have to fight more and more and more dirty. And I know they get to use bombs and stuff, but by the end, like they're covered in mud and crawling through the jungle, like they're like.
Well, Arnold is.
Well,
remember, everyone else is dead.
But they maybe relied too heavily on their modern technologies. And not the hunter spirit from within.
I think their problem is they ran out of ammunition where he didn't.
Also, the Predator is a highly advanced space alien killing machine. And you gotta be...
Are you telling me that these First Peoples, these Native Americans, will not be getting to the choppa?
No.
Probably not.
At no point will anyone fly a choppa in this episode, in any of these episodes. Well, maybe episode 5.
So the reason I kind of stopped on this frame was the bear doesn't look all that berry in
That's a
this
bear?
picture. He looks kind of like a stuffed animal.
What did you think it
Yeah.
was?
I can't see
No,
it.
that's a bear.
Yeah, it is. But Rob says that's a bear.
I
Yeah,
I
here
mean, it's
I'll play the
clearly not a
scene.
duck.
I guess I'm
So
okay.
what happens
I
is
see it in that
this
frame.
bear chases the young Native American huntress person, and she hides in the bow of a tree, and it's clawing away and clawing away. It's very dangerous and scary. Oh my God, she's gonna be like, oh, he's dead,
Now
Oh,
we're friends.
Predator got him.
and
Let's cuddle.
he's taken as a trophy. But there's that moment right there where he kind of didn't look like a bear. He looked like a joke.
Well, in the one frame, I just couldn't isolate a bear because there was too much brown.
Now I really liked 10 Cloverfield Lane. I thought it was a really good
Yeah.
thriller. You know.
I did too.
Yeah. So
I'd say
I'm
that's my
game.
favorite of the Cloverfields.
I don't know. I really like the first Cloverfield.
I do too,
it's
but I
really good.
rewatched it not that long ago, and
Yeah.
it's
Did it
I think it's
survive?
one of those movies that you can watch it once and that's it.
Yeah, it's true.
That's how I felt. It
Yeah.
did, in the rewatch, you're just like, yeah, sure.
Do you feel the same about like Blair Witch? Is it
I
just the
I
found
did
footage?
rewatch. I rewatched Blair Witch like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and the thing about Blair Witch that works is it's what still works, which is that it's cheap and naive and like innocent. And the advantage of watching it now is that you can watch it without the hype that existed around it. I saw it in theaters the weekend it came out, and it had like a whole meta thing happening,
Mhm.
and we didn't get
Yeah.
that.
It just had its 20th or 25th
Yeah.
anniversary. They actually showed it at our local movie house, with the filmmakers commenting on it. Oh, okay.
I find it super groovy. But like Cloverfield is like the first Cloverfield movie is it's found footage, but it's still got a lot of expensive effects. And
Oh yeah.
but the Blair
Yeah,
Witch is
the-
particularly improved.
Yeah.
In a weird way that you either love or hate, right? And
Right.
I kind of enjoy it.
I mean,
I liked it.
just the cost for makeup on the monster alone, phenomenal.
Yeah, you got to like
It's
get out
yeah,
a
I mean-
a lot of
roller.
money.
You got to get out
Yeah,
a roller to
practical
put
or-
on the rouge.
Practical effects, 35 stories up
Yeah.
it's costly.
Yeah.
And they had to
That is-
breed that monster
that
for that
is-
movie. I mean,
That is a lot of powder, my friends.
Yeah.
and
A
not
lot
to
of powder.
mention they had to tip that one building over just right so
Mhm.
it didn't fall down.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Cool.
That's why modern filmmaking has become so boring, because we just don't knock over buildings anymore.
It's true.
In our found footage monster kaiju movie. Now I actually thought the Black Adam trailer was a lot better looking. Like I'm actually kind of like I have had zero interest in Black Adam, but that trailer looked pretty fun.
I think Mr. The Rock Johnson is a very charismatic fella, but I admit that I was.
He is, but I'm not sure how great an actor he is.
No,
No.
he's
but
The
I mean,
Rock.
he's just a part of. He's
So
part
we'll
of the
see.
special effect. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not about
exactly.
acting. I just don't know if the story is gonna matter.
They had a couple of jokes in the middle, and I guess that's my concern with this. Are they going to be silly like Shazam, or are they going to be full of themselves and
Shazam was good,
serious? Shazam was good, but it was also tonally like wacky and fun. And
Well, I mean, he is like Shazam's basically like his nemesis, so chances are they'll have a similar tone. Otherwise, it'd be kind of
they have
weird, right?
what
And
was
they've got
that?
Hawkman from Battlestar, from Buck Rogers. That's cool.
Yeah.
I guess my big problem with Shazam is that it was marketed as a kid friendly comedy, and it actually has like that really terrifying horror scene in that
Yeah.
boardroom, which literally scared my kid so badly that he couldn't see the rest. He left the theater.
I would have
Poor
loved
kid.
that as a kid.
I would have too. I would have too. But it's
Depends on what
not
age.
how that movie was
Yeah.
marketed.
Yeah.
That movie was entirely marketed as a kid gets superpowers.
And tonally, except for a couple of scenes, it would have been fine. But those couple of scenes are way over the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So.
to a certain extent, it's not that dissimilar from the Sam Raimi-ishness that pops up throughout Multiverse of Madness. Like a lot of it,
Mm.
it's like barely Sam Raimi, and then there's a few scenes that are just like, oh, this is just Sam Raimi doing his thing.
Doing this Sam Raimi thing. Oh, look, there's Bruce Campbell and
But that was the same
some
thing
guy
in
with a chainsaw on
Shazam,
his arm.
because the Shazam director was a horror guy, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, he directed like his big break was with I can't remember which horror franchise. I'd have to look it up. And as I said before we dialed up, I'm having some technical problems. I think my mouse battery died, so it's now plugged in.
Oh
and sitting.
no!
So like my mouse, like I can reach my mouse, but I gotta reach all.
Is it a rechargeable mouse, or
It
is
is
it
a
some strange?
It's a rechargeable
like
mouse.
AAA battery thing.
It's just plugged in. I just had to disconnect the antenna in order to plug it into the wire. I don't know. There was some jokes. I liked like all the different stuff. Like here we've got a giant Ant-Man. Is that going to be the Atom?
Atom Smasher is his name.
Yeah, but I mean like that looks funny. Like you can play that for good fun. But that's my whole thing. Is it going to be?
Oh look, they've got the Judge Dredd cycles.
Is it going to be totally dark or totally fun? That's all I care about.
I don't know.
I hope it works.
Sure, me too.
James Webb got popped by another meteorite.
Oh no.
Yeah, and apparently it's been popped by a few already.
That's no good.
Yeah, and it hasn't even like released its first big. What's
first light?
What's the dance where the girl like traditionally is brought out into the community? There's like a term for that.
A debutante ball?
Like like the
a coming out?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the coming out party of this telescope, the debutante ball, where it releases its first photos and we see what it really gets to do. Its premiere. But at this rate, it's going to have holes through all the mirrors.
This is frustrating.
The article said that they can adjust.
Sorry, I'm trying to bring it up.
No, it's fine. They can adjust the mirrors to compensate to a certain amount from the impact. But obviously there's going to be degradation on that mirror. Yeah. But I guess that's another advantage of the multi-segmented mirror, right? You can, if one of those mirrors gets dinged, you still got the rest of them.
Yeah, but imagine if the entire lifetime of the web is just them adjusting and adjusting and adjusting and adjusting.
Well, that's the thing I guess that I kind of wonder, because the article said that it's already been hit several times. And if it's been hit several times and it's only been out there for a few months, that means that it's just going to be constantly peppered with dust. And eventually it's going to cause a problem. Amblue said quinceañera. I think that was the word I was trying to find.
That means it's 15 years old.
Well, maybe by the time it takes its picture, it'll be 15 months out there.
Yeah, that's when a young lady of Mexican descent is considered a lady. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Don't they have a party?
Yeah.
Sure, it's basically a coming out party.
It's a celebration into womanhood.
And all this is pretty creepy too.
For sure.
And I mean, are we trying to marry the James Webb off to like the Hubble to build our estate?
Imagine the babies. Imagine the babies.
Awkward.
That would be no good.
I'm having trouble with the number. I'm sorry.
It does not particularly matter, Chris. We will all get by.
I know, but you need your visual aids.
That's true. But you have to leave in 15 minutes, so it doesn't really matter. But we did have, I had two more things, at least on my agenda. The AI trained on 4chan. That's quite the story, Rob.
Yeah. So that story, I mean,
Wait, is it racist?
Yeah, see, exactly. Like, of course it's terrible.
Like, what did you expect?
The far more interesting part of this story was how mad some academics got because they thought what he did was irresponsible and would cause people harm. And he's like, are you kidding me? Read 4chan and read what my bot said. Yeah. My bot is terrible, but it's, shades of terrible, less terrible than what you can actually find on the website. But everyone was up in arms about it. To me, that was the most interesting part of the story, how a whole bunch of academics got really mad, and they're like, this is not the way you do science.
I mean,
he's like, at least not you. At least it's not a secret Hitler like yours.
There were a lot of things about this story that I think was really interesting. First of all, I do not think that the average person has any understanding of what 4chan is.
Probably not, no.
Like, maybe the people all 8 of the people who are listening to us right now might. But, 4chan.
I'm not 100% either.
Oh, see, 4chan is funny, but it is the worst. And anytime you find something that you think is bad, you will find something worst. It is the least. It is the, what was it, the Gabe's internet fuckwad theory. It is that
Great internet,
personified.
yeah.
It is. And it's never clear to me how much of it is performative assholery and how much of it is legitimate, and that's
Like,
kind of the part of it.
if someone asked what the internet was like when it first started, 4chan would definitely be part of the thing that you show them. You know, it's like, okay, this was a huge segment of what the internet was back in the day.
And strangely easier on the eyes than something rotten. You know,
that's true.
Yeah.
There were a number of things that I thought were interesting. First of all, they were talking about how their bot was able to become like 10 or 20% of the content on the channel for a while.
Yeah. It's 10% of all comments.
Yeah. Which, again, these are things that we all dealt with in the past, right? We got botted by Markov chains. We got modded by like versions, but like
some very creative ways of trolling.
For sure. But yeah, I think my first surprise here was just that there are people who did not understand that, like, the algorithm that they were using, they're calling it what, GPT-4. The GPT-4 channel.
GPT-4 channel.
Yeah. That it's garbage in, garbage out. It is mirroring what it is. It's not worse. It is just maybe a hollow echo. But the other,
if they had just trained it on /A, it could have been all right. He would have like told everyone how to run their Unix machines.
There you go.
You know. But no.
I find that whole thing fascinating just because the fundamental thing about how 4chan is anonymous and the comments pop back to the top of the list when you reply. Like, these two decisions shape those forums in such weird ways. It encourages such weird behavior. I mean, I hate the things that they say, but I love thinking about how those design decisions shaped what that thing becomes. I don't know. Maybe it's just because that's what we did for so long. The other thing that
I give up.
This was actually a thing related to something that Hemos tweeted a few days ago. We were on a little chain about people talking about basically sandboxing troll accounts into an environment where they would have AI generated replies visible only to them that would parrot back an agreeing viewpoint. But like, you could use this to do that trivially. I don't know what the results of that would be. But it would be an interesting experiment. But clearly, in the eyes of these professors, an unethical one. Because don't mess with the trolls.
If I had better bandwidth, I would bring Cliff into this discussion and let him talk about it.
That's a good conversation.
Like it'd be right up his alley. You know?
Well, but also we only have like 12 minutes left before somebody has a hard stop.
That's true.
So I had one other thing. Well, we have a couple things that we can mention. Rob, you were not a fan of the Miss Marvel?
No, I had a hard time getting through it, to be honest
with
you.
From the trailer, it looks like it's like a high school story about a girl. It looked like it had pieces of Scott Pilgrim, and then halfway through the trailer, it decided to give up on that. And I'm like, I mean, that was a choice that would have been interesting.
Have either of you watched Naomi?
Yes.
No, what is that?
It's a CW show about the character Naomi from DC. I think her name is Powerhouse in the comic books or something.
One episode.
No, I've not seen
it. This reminded me.
Or...
No, this reminded me of that. This I thought was maybe the special effects were a little bit better, but certainly the story. I thought it was just a grade above the CW.
Wow.
Like everything seemed so obvious and so stereotypical. I think there could be a good story in there about a especially a minority girl coming to terms with how the heroes that get most talked about generally aren't women and generally aren't minorities. So her fascination with Captain Marvel made sense to me. It's just it you know how we talked about the other day? I can't remember what show it was. People writing for kids who have no idea what kids are like.
We were talking
I
about
kind of,
Leia and Kenobi.
yeah, I kind of feel like this is written by people who don't know what teenage minority girls are like. They just know
I'll go
what they've
through.
read on the internet,
Sure.
Yeah,
right?
on
Now,
4chan. They were trained on 4chan.
now
And
that said,
also,
oh, go ahead.
also, let me add one more thing. Her powers aren't the same.
Yeah.
And I know
Oh,
I hate being a stickler for this, but I mean, isn't that one of the things you like about your favorite superhero? Their powers, right?
Sure.
So if you change the powers, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. You should just find a different character if you don't like their powers.
Yeah,
That's my 2 cents on it.
that's fair. Uh, I wouldn't call it an A or anything, but I think the major thing is that it's not a show for me necessarily.
Sure.
But what I will say is I watched that show with one of my kids,
and what they
who
think.
who is who is A, age appropriate for the show, and B, hates everything Marvel, and loved it. Was all invested, found the character relatable, understood understood all of the nuance of the relationship between the kid and this is a kid who doesn't generally pick up on those details. He's at that age. Got it, made sense to him. All of the motivations made sense. It was a good reminder to me, I guess, that I might be a little jaded being old. This show
And
is
it's not for
this
you.
show is meant for
Or
middle school, high school
that
kids.
or that kids don't have good taste. One of
Also,
those two, maybe.
also
Maybe.
possible.
And therefore, what company has shown through their Disney Channel for decades that they understand the kind of trash that kids seem to
Yep.
freaking love?
Yep.
Like this is the worry when they picked up Star Wars and the rest that they were gonna Hannah Montana or whatever their dumb shows are.
I can
Where they seem to
definitely
have figured out a certain kind of kid that can come along on the Disney journey, and they're gonna turn them into Marvel fans. So you're
well,
gonna have these really obvious, High School Musical or whatever. I don't even know their shows, but every time I would like go by the Disney Channel, it'd be like some mouthy kid, and it sounds terrible, some
yep.
mouthy kid being really all exposition heavy, and oh, they're so cool, and I'm like, I would not want to be around these people.
Well, I thought that the performance by Aman Vellani was awesome. I think that she was
Okay.
as good as Peter Parker was, the most recent Peter Parker when he came out, like just the exuberance, the energy. I thought
Tom Holland.
yeah, the Tom Holland. I thought that the production design, the way that they're doing the Scott Pilgrim-y animation stuff in the background is just
So do they keep with that?
so fun. Yeah, there's several scenes
Oh, that's
that
cool.
there's one scene which I think is just awesome where they're like biking around a corner and they're telling a little story, and as they're telling their story and like discussing things, the story is being visualized behind them as like graffiti animated on the walls that they're biking past, and like they'll argue and characters are responding to their argument. It's visually just really top-notch stuff. But I'm
Was that true, Robert?
I think Rob and I like different things in movies.
yep.
I think Rob likes the accoutrement of the plot, and I
Accoutrement.
like the plot.
I think that I like the film, which is, of course, the combination
That's
of the
what I mean.
performance, the direction,
what
the writing. I
That's
like
what I mean
all
by the
aspects.
accoutrement of it. The story is the story.
Right, I like
Everything
all of
else
it.
is how you tell the story. Rob just likes how the story is told.
I
not
like
the story.
all of the story. I like all of the pieces. I don't. I can look beyond
Equally.
even a weak, not necessarily, but I can look beyond a weaker dialogue or a bad performance, and find the things that I still find joyful. And the things that didn't necessarily work for me is it did feel a little tropey, cliched high schooler, but watching it with a kid of that age, I realized that resonates with him in a way that it does not necessarily with me. I've seen these tropes 500 times. I'm jaded towards
Yeah.
them, but the visual style, glorious. Now I'm with you, Rob, on the power problems, but like I understand what their problem, and I think that all that this really comes down to is they're saving the stretchy juice for Fantastic Four,
Well,
and they don't want to
yeah,
do it.
Let's be clear. Stretchy powers, as we've all acknowledged, are stupid.
Dumb.
Maybe the most stupid. And very, very hard to show in a way that doesn't look completely
I
stupid,
think that's the
especially
key.
in live action, right?
Yeah,
So I understand why you would not want to do that. But then there's certainly other superheroes you could have chosen,
for sure.
right?
But
What
they,
if her name was Steph Armstromitani? Like Stretch Armstrong, that like turned into a woman's Pakistani.
look,
Wow, that was a stretch.
that was a big stretch. I think the casting was great.
I really reached for that one.
You did. I think that that
Don't
actress,
overextend yourself.
I think that the actress that they have playing that part, I think all of the casting was just charming and fun, and I think everybody
Sure,
nailed exactly what they're
sure.
going for.
I don't think anyone was terrible in it. I just
Mm.
think the story's kind of stupid.
And it's episode 1. She gets her powers in the last minute. But I totally see what you're saying. But I thought the show had so many things going for it. I totally see what you're saying. But you know, this show is clearly targeted one click closer to the Disney Channel than
Well,
the darkest of the Iron Mans or
yes,
something.
I prefaced my statement on it with saying this is clearly not
Yeah,
targeted to me.
not for you
Now,
exactly.
if you ask me about it, I will tell you what I think about it.
I'd give it a B- right now. But
You are too generous. You are too generous, Rob.
No.
that's fair.
This is Rob Mulder we're talking.
That's right. And Chris even went to the efforts of having a Chiron to remind everybody that I have terrible
I
taste.
don't have Chiron on today.
Now, let me tell you one more thing that I just
I
want
have
to make
failed
sure
you.
that I need to get this one off because I haven't finished this yet. But you need to, and I say this unequivocally, you need to watch the movie RRR. It's on Netflix.
Reading Rainbow.
No,
Casting?
it's the letters are nonsense. It's a Hindi
Richard
film.
Roundtree, the legend.
It's a Hindi film.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
yeah,
actually.
it's over 3 hours long, and that's why I haven't finished yet. I've watched
I
an
got
hour.
a 9-hour flight. You know?
So you probably could do no better than watching this movie. This movie is nuts, and it is so fun and so weird and so.
Is it R.K. Shaw? Who's in it?
It's so the RRR there. It's apparently a big name director and 2 big name actors that all have R's in their names, and so they literally it would be like if Stallone and Schwarzenegger were in a movie directed by Spielberg, and they just decided to call it SSS. Like that's basically
Instead of the Expendables.
But with Spielberg directing.
Oh yeah.
So this movie is crazy pants. It's like these 2 like heroic guys on these missions that they don't know intersect, and there's this weird love story, and they're trying to rescue this kidnapped girl, and they don't know. At the hour 15 mark, there's the greatest dance off you've ever seen. There's these scenes where they're fighting, but the music is, to my Western ear, the wrong music for the fight, and it's a really extended fight sequence with the wrong music. But I am telling you, man, I am 2 hours in, and this movie works. It is crazy. There is a shot, and I don't mean to spoil this, but I have to tell you this shot where one of the guys jumps out of a truck in slow motion, holding a flaming torch in each hand, flanked by an entire menagerie of wild zoo animals. And then they proceed to maul an entire party of people with with tigers and lions and all of these crazy animals.
Oh my.
It's
Oh my.
Oh my. It's the best. And I'm only 2 hours in. I can't even wait to see what they're going to do in the last hour. It's my favorite thing that I've seen this week.
Okay.
Oh, I've seen previews for this.
Like, it's the only thing you should watch this weekend. It's that level of good. But you have to understand, it's super weird. And it's really out there. And it's actually a little bit tricky to follow because it's subtitled, but then like some of the characters are Americans or are English. It's set in like a colonial India, and the white people are very bad. It's really, really great.
That's weird. You know, the period of colonialism in India, the British were really nice
They
during
are
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
they
I'm
are
shocked.
horrible. It is so, and I'm no historian. I know it was horrible. Like I don't know. I don't know, because this movie is such a heightened sense of reality. Like I don't even know how to describe this, except you should watch it and we should talk about it next Tuesday, because it is
All
the
right.
greatest thing that I've seen in a long time. Did we have anything else fun that we wanted to get off of our chests before we
Oh,
went
I
over?
watched Hawkeye. I know, very modern.
Yeah,
I finished it. So I had that long flight. So I was
that's
like,
true.
what should I fill it with? I should download Hawkeye.
There you go.
And I have to tell you, I kind of enjoyed it. There you go.
Yeah.
Who knew?
I
It was enjoyable.
It was one of my favorites of those.
I think
Even though it had
WandaVision.
Jeremy Renner in it, who's
Yeah,
really
right.
boring. Like everyone else was a blast.
I think
And he was just
WandaVision
inoffensive.
flirted with being truly great. It kind of fell apart at
Yeah.
the end, but it flirted with
Yeah.
being truly great. I think
Yeah,
that
it
I think that
like most of the
Loki
stuff.
and Hawkeye both were consistently darn entertaining and darn fun. And Hawkeye was, I thought, just charming, but it was also one click
Yeah.
younger and more innocent, whereas Loki is like one click into the weird.
Doctor Who.
Yeah. And they appeal to me for completely different reasons. I liked Hawkeye. I will 100% rewatch that again next December.
That was good.
Just as a enjoy.
Oh,
I gotta tell you, you know, I'm no fan of musicals, but I appreciate the hell out of the musical at the end of Hawkeye. It's fantastic.
I was
Yeah.
open mouth
Oh,
gaping.
yes. If
Yeah.
anyone would love that, Chris, I imagine it'd be you. Isn't it fantastic?
It's
I
so
was
fun.
just like, this is incredible.
I love the idea because that would absolutely happen.
For sure.
I love that idea.
My only
I could do this
concern.
all.
My only concern with that is that it seemed like that happened a little fast. Like, it seems like it takes a decade for you to be able to make a musical about something.
Well, wasn't 2012 when the Battle of New York happened?
That's
That's
true.
what Rogers was about.
That's
so.
true. And they don't really touch on anything later than New York, do they?
Mhm.
No, because don't
Yeah.
they talk about them being dead? Because isn't there a shot with
Yeah,
them?
this is after the snap, right?
It takes, but was the musical set to include the snap and the Thanos bit, or was the musical
I thought the
purely
musical only covered through
Avengers
the-
1?
The Battle of New York.
Avengers 1, yeah.
So yeah, that would be
I have
2012.
a hard time calling it the Battle of New York like it's a real thing, just for the record.
That's how they call it. I did hear a funny comment because the idea that they refer to the battle that they have with Thanos, and this was from Miss Marvel, they called it the battle for the Earth, and that seems a little bit Earth-centric. I mean, really, weren't we talking about 50% of all life on all planets? So really, wasn't it the battle for the galaxy,
The universe,
for everything?
I think you're trying to downplay Thanos, so the next big bad is scary.
That's true.
So Thanos, he didn't actually take half of everything. He just took half of the Earth. Well, not half of the Earth. He left the fish.
I am wearing my Galactus.
Well, and
Yeah, but they're not going to have Galactus.
he hated birds.
I know.
But he was fine with bugs.
Kang the Conqueror, right? Is the
Yeah.
next really big bad.
We're gonna get some Kang
Or the
action.
High Evolutionary, I've heard rumored a little bit.
Indeed. Yeah, Magnum says it did take them over 2 centuries to make a musical about Alexander Hamilton.
It's true.
And
they
that
really
seems-
only covered through his kid's death.
Yeah, spoilers.
But they didn't have the internet then, so
Right, everything
True.
is
share,
Can you
share
imagine,
the
like,
story a lot faster now.
where would Hamilton post the Federalist Papers? Like a Medium,
Fox News.
Would he have like one of those newsletters?
Hey, if you want to
Substack.
be super angry,
Oh no.
open up 2 tabs, one to the homepage of any real news site, and then the other to Fox News.
I don't want to be angry, man. I'm a man of peace.
They literally were cutting during the footage. They were cutting out during the riot shots. They were cutting, and then they didn't show commercials during the entirety of Tucker Carlson. Don't go watch another channel.
Let's see now.
It's amazing. All right, hey, we should roll. You have to hit it, right, Chris?
I do.
All right. Well, thank you for making time in your busy morning. I hope wherever you are now is awesome.
It's actually 4:00.
Oh dear God. Goodbye, Chris DeBona.
See you guys.
Goodbye, Rob Roseboom.
See ya.
I was Rob Commander Taco Malda. That was Geeks in Space
You sure
725.
were.
We'll see you next time. Bye.